Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL? NFL draft prospects and rookies? Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man Jay Rich.
Count that money, man.
Now wipe the crust out of your eyes, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Ray G. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. Would you start Mike Davis over Cam Akers? Would you do that? Are you about to say that right now?
I would start Mike Davis over Cam Akers. If he is the starter and J.K. Dobbins is out, Mike Davis over Cam Akers.
Man, I'm starting Cam Akers, man. This guy's is out of line already. Listen, I'm starting Cam Akers. That's the answer to the question. Like it does seem like it's going to be a difficult matchup, but I'm damn sure not starting Mike Davis over him. You just got to rock with him. Like you drafted him. If you drafted him and you're like I'm fading him. If you fade him today, I'm just like, then why even pick him in the first place? Try to trade him today. Like you're starting Mike Davis, man. What's next, Jay?
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. It is me, Jay Rich. I am opening the show. Why, you may ask? Well, I made a certain prediction yesterday. Of course, the show is sponsored by Prize Picks, so make sure you use the promo code WAKEUP for a 100% deposit match up to $100. Good morning, everybody in the chat. Ray, I don't know where you are. I don't know why I'm on the screen. Maybe it's because I said yesterday that Mike Davis should be started over Cam Akers. Maybe it's because all of you out there in the chat, I see you guys talking. I see you guys chatting. I see Ray hiding, scared. I don't know why he's back there. He can be on the screen. I don't mind. But the thing is that I told you guys that Mike Davis should be started over Cam Akers. I stood by my take. I made that start sit decision in my Scott Fish Bowl lineup, and it paid off. Cam Akers looked like he was running in mud. He couldn't get past the line of scrimmage. Is that going to happen the whole season? I don't know. But yesterday, like I said, like I told you, you can draft him, you can play him if you want, but there's a risk. And well, what do you know? And Hendo hit his overs, which was also good for me in the betting market. So I was happy about that. So Ray, do you have anything to say to the people? Do you have anything to say to me? I'm not going to go crazy. I didn't even put the hat on. I said, you know what? I'll save it for another occasion. But I'm excited. Week 1 predictions, start sits, maybe some bold takes for week 1. I'm excited, Ray, and good morning to everybody out there.
Congratulations, man. I can't do anything but hand clap you, and for myself and that display of disrespect, I got a sad trombone myself because Cam Akers was awful. I mean, you called it. Now, to be fair, I didn't know Cam Akers was like hurt, like
really?
Legit. Something is going. I asked the question yesterday.
What did I tell you? I told you that 11 days ago, it was reported that he was not running at practice. 11 days ago, this man was not running at practice. Yes, he's active. Yes, Sean McVay says he's good to go. Okay, that's great. Who was running at practice? Darrell Henderson. Who was starting the game? Darrell Henderson. So yeah, you did know. You just didn't listen. You just didn't want to believe. You wanted to push back. And that's what happens. But it's okay. It's okay. We live and we learn.
Mike Davis still hasn't played. Mike Davis still is yet to play. And he could go
one
out
rushing
there.
yard.
Akers got me a 0. Or I think it was in one league, it was like negative .10. Like I would have did better off leaving the spot blank. I give you a round of applause, my friend. You told everybody to stay away from Akers. You told everyone to stay away from Akers. I pushed hard. I was wrong, man. You were right. You deserve this today. I'm glad we started the show off with nothing but you. So let's talk about it, man. Bills versus Rams last night, man. And, you know, a lot of the betting money were Rams at home. Sean McVay is 5-0 in opening games. They're the defending Super Bowl champs. They got Allen Robinson. They got Bobby Wagner. Why are the Bills? Why are people taking the Bills? Well, I mean, we kind of talked about it, right? Like, they played their starters during the preseason, and every time they went out there, shit was hitting on all cylinders. Every time. I mean, Josh Allen, boom, 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 touchdown. Boom, 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 get him out. Yeah. We've seen enough. And what happened last night? I'm not trying to overreact, man, but I tweeted it out last night, Jay. We are witnessing Josh Allen enter God mode, NFL God mode in front of our eyes. Like, we're seeing it. You know, you sit back sometimes and you're like, damn, like, we really saw this player ascend and transcend to another level. Josh Allen's playing on another fucking level, man. Like, I don't even care that he threw 2 picks. The first one, I don't even it wasn't his fault. McKenzie should have came down with that. And the second one, great play by the defensive
really
back.
Good closing speed.
But it did nothing. Like, he still went back there and shredded the Rams, man. Jalen Ramsey talked all that shit, and he allowed a perfect passer rating, according to PFF, when targeted. Like 6-7 receptions, 120-something yards, 2 touchdowns on Ramsey. Yeah. Right? He's looking around law. And truth be told, man, Jalen Ramsey gets his ass burnt a lot, but he makes so many plays to make up for it, where it's kind of like Trevon Diggs, right? Like, he makes so many plays, you're like, all right, we'll forgive that. But you go back to that Super Bowl, T. Higgins and whomever else, Mike Evans, were having his way with Jalen Ramsey throughout the playoffs. He got absolutely torched by Diggs and whoever else they put on him.
It was the Gabe Davis touchdown, right? He had the responsibility because the linebacker came down on Allen, and they both came down, and he obviously leaked out behind him. So that was really interesting to see. But Ramsey hasn't played up to par, in my opinion.
I'm not joking, man. Like, I know we got to get to games this weekend. If you're in I want Josh Allen by any means necessary in fantasy. Like, I want him, man.
QB1, not close.
QB1, super flex, player 1. I want him by any means necessary. Like, he's just scratching prime, man. He's probably not even in final form yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's still probably another level into which he can ascend. And I don't want to hear it's just to look that good week 1 out the gate. Man, that shit's scary, man. 26 for 31, 297, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. He got sacked twice, QBR of right at 90, 10 carries, 56 yards. We talked about his over rushing yards. I think the prop was at 36.5. And I said that the moment the line dropped, I was like, that's too low. Like, that's easy. Give him that, man. This is, I think it was Mina Kimes that tweeted out, it's ironic that the Bills actually have a real Buffalo playing quarterback, i.e. Josh Allen. Like, he's a legitimate Buffalo in human form. I don't know what else. I don't know what other superlatives to put on how good he is. Is it a player that you would like? What would you trade to get him, man? Like, what would it cost to get him right now in Dynasty? Like,
you're
breaking your roster.
Four first plus.
Yeah,
like, there's almost no way. He's, back-to-back QB1, coming off just destroying the Super Bowl champs. And while they looked awful on both sides of the ball, frankly, it's just, at what point is he going to be stopped? And to your point about that final form, like, we've seen this over the past couple of years. He's been getting better. And while last year wasn't as good statistically, I thought he had just as good a shot at the MVP as anybody, because of what he did for that offense and how good he looks. And all reports this season are he's even better. He's even more motivated. He really wants that MVP. He wants that Super Bowl, all these things, right? And you see it on the field. 5 incompletions on the whole game. The first, 20 throws were just dots.
Only 3 passes from Josh Allen hit the ground. 2 of them went to the other team, but only 3 passes hit the ground last night versus the defending Super Bowl champs. In SoFi, you got The Rock announcing it. It's LA, it's spectacle. They got Nipsey Hussle playing at the beginning. I mean, it's LA down, baby. And Josh Allen walked into that shit like, all right, let's go.
So what?
Let's go. Yeah, so what? So what? Let's go. And absolutely cooked them, man. Other takeaways, the answer to the Isaiah McKenzie, Jamison Crowder question is Gabe Davis. I want Stephon Diggs. And Gabe Davis, look, he's not going to be peppered with targets. You see that last night. But he's going to run the routes that matter. He's going downfield. He's not running First of all, he looks like a tight end. Did you see how big he is?
Yeah,
I thought he
was
was
6'4", right?
I thought he was a damn tight end out there. I was like, who is that? And they're like,
On that
Gabe
post route, yeah, you're like, is he even fast enough to get down
to
the
get
field,
there,
right?
right? He's lumbering down the field, little Kelvin Benjamin-esque there with Gabe Davis. But listen, man, to go out there 4 for 88 and a touchdown on his 5 targets, efficient. You know, that offense is still, it's Josh Allen, it's Stephon Diggs, our boy James Cook.
Oh boy. First carry.
Fumble. Don't touch it again for the rest of the game. Not good. Both teams had kind of a turnover fest early on. I'll tell you what, man. I know the box score does not scream great, right? The fantasy production, I think he might have had 8 points or something like that. Devin Singletary looks good. People have written him off for dead for the past 2 years, and it doesn't seem like they're going to go away from him. He's still going to be the primary running back ball carrier outside of Josh Allen for that offense. Zach Moss got a lot of work. It's going to be interesting to see how they incorporate James Cook moving forward. But just top to bottom, just so impressed with the Bills. Big wolf for Dawson Knox, the 5th highest paid tight end in the NFL. 1 catch, 2 targets. That offense will evolve. But what were some of your takeaways from the Bills before we go over to the Rams and talk about that putrid performance?
I mean, it was literally just that they couldn't be stopped. Like, the only reason why they stopped on offense was because they stopped themselves. They did not punt once in that game, and they did not blitz once in that game. That's ridiculous stats to take on the defending Super Bowl champions, to not blitz more than 5 guys the entire game, and to not punt once the entire game is just utter dominance. And this is a game that was 31-10 and probably should have been 51-10. And so that's the biggest thing here. You know, Gabe Davis, he was good. And right to your point, he ran the routes that matter, and that's why he's going to matter from a talent perspective. I'm not all the way there. And I do want to touch on Isaiah McKenzie and Jamison Crowder, because they did touch on this during the broadcast as well. What they're doing, honestly, and, you know, Doug Peterson's probably chopping at the bit seeing this, is basically a wide receiver by committee, right? So when they projected that they were going to be in zone, they had Jamison Crowder out there in the slot, and against man on earlier downs, they had McKenzie in the slot. Now, they were used on similar downs and together, but for the most part, it was McKenzie against man, like you saw on that touchdown catch, and Crowder working the zones early in that game and in the middle of the game especially. Now, Crowder did see more targets per route run, but McKenzie did get more snaps. But I think it's going to be a fluid situation going forward depending on the game, and you're not going to see the full role from McKenzie quite yet. And the good thing for me was that pick that happened early in the game did not affect him later on. He still got that touchdown target when the play needed to go to him, and they called that play, and it worked out for them. I'm not overly concerned, but I think you will see a bit of fluctuation between the two depending on the team they're playing in the matchup. And that's a little bit concerning if you wanted to start McKenzie all year. Outside of that, man, I just, at this point, I don't know how James Cook is going to find a big role in this offense. Like, soon. Not just soon, right? Like, you see how good they looked. Singletary looked good in the passing game. On top of that, Zach Moss got a ton of work. He got work in the receiving game.
Zach Moss had 6 targets. 6 targets for Moss, man. 0 for Cook.
Well, 6 targets, 6 receptions, right, on top of that. And he's getting a lot of short stuff, dump offs, but that's the stuff we want to go to James Cook. So, again, we'll see how it evolves over time, but point-blank takeaways, Gabe Davis, Josh Allen, and Stephon Diggs are going to cook all year long. It's really just comes down to is what the hell do we do with the Rams, Ray? Because they looked abysmal. And it wasn't just that they got destroyed, they also looked really bad. Where do you want to start with the Rams, and where do you want to start with this game?
Start with the signal caller. Start with Matthew Stafford. I was listening, taking the kids into daycare this morning. I was listening to the radio, and they were talking about how clearly something was up, more up with that. And I'll give you another round of applause, Jay. We asked the question on the show, are you concerned at all about the elbow injury for Matthew Stafford? I'm like, hell no. Fade the noise. Coach speak. He's going to be fine. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Was he didn't look. Was he just awful?
Was he just? I don't know. I don't know what to say. They got their asses handed to them. Von Miller was a problem, man.
Oh God.
The sack where he dipped once and then dipped again. They tried to chip him. He dipped the chip and then he dipped the tackle and then wrecked Matthew Stafford for a sack. They couldn't block him. The Rams O-line, problem. No Andrew Whitworth, problem. The O-line looked bad from the jump, right? They could not do anything with Buffalo. and they play in the AFC West, man. I mean, the NFC West. They're going to have to deal with Nick Bosa twice. They're going to have to deal, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just, you feel me, right? But Stafford, 29 for 41, 240, 5.9 and average, one touchdown, beautiful touchdown to Cooper Kupp, 3 interceptions, 7 sacks for 49 yards lost. 7 sacks and they didn't blitz?
More sacks than Josh Allen had incompletions by more than just one.
And they did not man.
Yeah.
Look,
4-man pressure they got wrecked, like straight up. They just got wrecked on 4-man pressures.
Look.
It was embarrassing.
The running game, I get Hendo was the starting back. He, outside of a run or two, he didn't look good, right?
And that was because Ed Oliver went out, right? Ed Oliver went out in the second quarter, and right away, Hendo busted a big run up the middle, when Ed Oliver. Yeah.
Cam Akers, 3 for 0. And now, to be fair to Cam, every time he got the ball, there was somebody in the backfield. Every time. But I'm looking at his mannerism when he was getting up. He just looked slow. I thought he was going to limp up. I want to know what the injury is. What is the injury? Is it the Achilles? That's why I was having a hard time buying he was hurt, because from all accounts, the Achilles should be healed, right? Like, he should be good. So what is the injury that's forcing him not to be able to run? Is it a hammy? Is it an ankle? I don't know.
It's hard to say, right? Like, we didn't really see. It was just, there was reports that he wasn't running, right? And you're like, okay, but he's 13 months removed, or at least 12 months removed from this Achilles injury, and he was running before. So what's been going on? Is it tightness? Is it soreness? Is it fatigue? Is it stamina? Who knows? I don't think there was ever a clear report on what was going on with Akers. It was just that they were hurt and they weren't necessarily coming back. Him and Hendo, right? Hendo obviously came back and Akers was still not quite there. But for me, it was the explosion, right? It was what goes when you tear your Achilles. It was that explosion. Like, he's running to the line, it looked like he's jogging, and you're like, there's kind of a hole there. Are you gonna like hit that hole? And he just never did. And he got tackled in the backfield a bunch. There was the one play, Stafford threw him basically a suicide pass behind the line of scrimmage. He wasn't gonna get any yards with that.
Yeah.
But he didn't. Again, I don't want to be.
I'm not buying Akers.
Downer
on
Cam Akers, but it looks
I'm
so
not buying
bleak.
him, man.
And so I think we have to look at what James Robinson does this week and see, how do the two differ? Because if James Robinson looks good and Cam Akers is looking like this, it's like, okay, so one is 9 months removed from Achilles surgery and one is 13 months removed. I get they're not in the same situation, but it's like, man, how do we have confidence in this guy going forward?
Right now, Cam Akers or Devin Singletary, who would you rather have on your roster?
Oh, man. I mean, I think you got to go Singletary, I guess. Straight up, it's a tough trade, though. Like, straight up, it's tough. But, if you can get anything for Akers, I think you should definitely be considering it. Like, if for some reason someone will give you a first for Akers, I think you got to consider it. If somebody
gives you a first for Akers, they're a damn fool, man. They're a damn
What
fool.
if it's a 24 first?
I don't give
25
a shit.
first.
Give it to me. I'll take it. I'll take a 30 first at this point. Maybe that's
Cooper
a little
Kupp.
too far. Kyren Williams. There was a lot of hype about Kyren Williams. They got him on damn kickoff team, then he gets hurt. Good job, McVay. Now he's out. I don't know what happened to him, but he got hurt. So they're using number 19, Brandon
Powell, the kick returner.
It's bad, man. The O-line is bad, bro. It's bad. Now, the receiving game, yes, if you have Cooper Kupp, you are ecstatic, right? Like, damn, 15 targets. But this is not going – they're going to have to spread the ball around, man, because if they're just going to dink and dunk to Cooper Kupp and not push the ball vertically, if Stafford doesn't have time to find other – they're not going to win like that, man. Like, we love it if you have Cooper Kupp in fantasy, but for them to actually win – they got to get other people involved, man. A-Rob had 2 targets, and the crazy thing is, he was on the field for 97% of snaps. It wasn't like he wasn't on the field. He was out there 97% of snaps last night, and he only got 2 targets, and one of the targets came on the final play of the game.
Last play of the game, yeah.
Like, that's, it's egregious. And there were multiple times where he's wide open, and you're like, throw it, Stafford. There he is. Nope, I'm going to scramble for 2 yards. I'm going to not throw it here. I'm going to force it there. They got to open it up, or they don't have a good enough running game, and you just can't, it's not going to be Stafford to Kupp, right? Like, you just can't do that. And a lot of people are like, that's what Matthew Stafford does. He hyper targets one guy, and nobody else really has anything else. Now, Tyler Higbee had 11 targets. He also dropped a pass or two. So there you go.
He was awful, man.
He was not.
He must have dropped at least 3 targets. He dropped.
I said that's what
right
I said too. I was being conservative, but he didn't look good. But he got 11 targets. Tutu Atwell looks like my 5-year-old out there trying to play football. Rams just look bad, man. Rams just look bad. And I was listening. Like I said, I was listening to the radio this morning. They say they lost 8 starters from last year. And it's hard to replace 8 starters without draft picks when you don't have the cash to they brought in Bobby Wagner and Allen Robinson, but they didn't really bolster that offensive line. They didn't do anything to improve the secondary behind Jalen Ramsey. Like, I don't know who any of those guys were, right? Back there at safety play. This could be ugly for the Rams, man. It was one game. We'll see how it goes. But, not a good showing from the Rams. And Jalen Ramsey, again, was absolutely awful. Awful. He talked all that shit, and he went out there and played terrible. So, Jay, this is the final victory lap for you. For my Game of Thrones fans out there, you will know exactly what this scene is from. But Jay Rich called it, right? There's Jay Rich the Targaryen reading the letter from the Raven that said start Mike Davis over Cam Akers. And Jay Rich, it's looking like you were quite right, my friend. So for the Game of Thrones fans out there, there you go, Jay Rich, you nailed it, big dog. So we got our NFL projection model up. We got some numbers, we got some players that we want to talk about. Let's talk some of the players that are looking really good in our NFL projection model that we should be starting and we should know. Like, just what were some of the things that you saw? I know you said Lamar Jackson was somebody we were going to bring up, and it's Friday, so I'm waiting to see if he gets that contract. I highly doubt it's going to happen. Well, before we get into the games, quick news: Kittle out, right? George Kittle out.
He's out?
Yeah, you didn't see that yesterday? Yeah, Kittle is out. Kittle is out.
Oh,
man. Kittle is
that's
out.
not good.
No George Kittle. They said that the groin injury that he suffered was not good, and that was in quotes, like not good.
Yeah.
He may have
That's
to
what we talked about yesterday, right?
For multiple weeks.
You strain your groin on Monday.
When is
You're
George
probably
Kittle
not
on? George Kittle, Deontay Johnson, Dalvin Cook, and Paul Pierce. Those are the 4 players that just are habitually hurt at all times. It just doesn't matter. They're always hurt. So no Kittle. Do you have any interest in Ross Dwelley or whoever the hell else they have?
Ross Dwelley? Ooh, maybe. No,
I want none. Does this concern you for Trey Lance at all?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Dude, they're playing Chicago. So what are they going to do? They're going to throw the ball to Deebo Samuel. They're going to throw the ball to Brandon Ayuk, and they're going to run the ball with Elijah Mitchell and Trey Lance. They're probably going to win, 30-10? Right? Like, I don't think anyone's concerned about what that offense could be.
Everybody's shitting on the Bears, man. What if they come out and they're all right? I'm just throwing that out there. At this point, I'm taking whatever you say.
You're at home at least.
Whatever you say, Jay Rich, I'm
rolling with for now at least.
Because you are.
I'm not as worried about that. What I will say though is if we're talking about this game really quickly, because I don't think there's a lot to talk about here unless you want to talk about.
Yeah, go ahead. We're fucking here, so let's just go.
But I don't think Trey Lance is going to have a phenomenal debut. I think everyone's expecting this big explosion from Trey Lance. And again, I think it's just a situation where you have a team that is projected to be awful. Like the Bears are projected to be awful. Are they going to put up points against this phenomenal defense? Probably not. Are they going to have to do a lot to win in this game? Do you really want to put that much on tape? And so we'll see. But I think that Trey Lance is going to have a kind of a conservative game, maybe 200 yards, maybe 30, 40 rushing yards. I wouldn't be necessarily hammering, a ladder on Trey Lance in game 1. But I do think Kittle out does make things a lot better for Deebo and for Ayuk. They were all projected around 45 yards on the books. And now I think you can kind of confidently start those guys knowing that those targets will really only be spread amongst 2 guys and maybe some to Elijah Mitchell. And we'll see what happens with the running backs in the receiving game. But we still don't know how Trey Lance is going to operate in this offense. Will he throw to the running backs, the tight ends? That's kind of what we're going to get information-wise first and then go from there. But I mean, I think we all fully expect them to win by 7+ points. I think the spread is at least 7 and could be even wider than that by now.
Well, we use shout out to my man DFS and Donuts, Mitch and Maspari. That's who we're partnering with for some of our prop bets this NFL season. They got a dope projection model, and we kind of tinkered some stuff. And we got Trey Lance. We got him projected at 245 passing and rushing combined yards. We got him at 220 passing yards and 30 attempts here in this game. So we'll see how see how that works out for Mr. Trey Lance. But the tight end is normally the security blanket for quarterbacks, man.
Especially young ones, right? Which
for
is
young
a
quarterbacks,
big
so-
factor, but we don't know how Trey Lance is going to play. So I think that's an interesting development that we'll see. But until we actually see them play, we don't know how he's going to operate in the offense.
All right. Well, what game are we going to go to now that we got that out of the way? You want to talk? Where are we going, Jay?
Do you want to go Pittsburgh, Cincinnati?
And everybody out there, we got all your super chats loaded up. Keep them rolling in. We'll save plenty of time to answer all those. We got them all favored, and we'll get back to those after we get through some of this stuff. You said where?
Do you want to go to Pittsburgh, Cincinnati?
Let's go there. Let's talk about it.
So I want to get your take on Mitch Trubisky, right? Because Mitch Trubisky is obviously going to be the starting quarterback. Are you starting Deontay Johnson? I would say probably. He did say his shoulder injury was a bit of a problem. We're starting Najee Harris, obviously starting running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep. People
are talking about starting George Pickens, and I'm kind of like,
I wouldn't do that.
I don't know.
I would not do that.
Everyone loves George Pickens. I get it. I don't know if I would do that. Pat Freiermuth, depending on your tight end situation, I think it's a fine matchup against Cincinnati because that's kind of where they're a little bit more exposed, is up the middle. But outside of that, are you starting Claypool in the slot? Probably not. And, on the other side, obviously, Higgins, Burrow,
Yes.
Mixon,
Yes.
and Chase, right?
Yes.
There's not really a whole lot to go through
Hayden
there.
Hurst. I honestly don't mind Hayden Hurst. I think Hayden Hurst is due for a really big season, man. And if you're asking me, would I rather start Hayden Hurst or Pat Freiermuth? Freiermuth, being the third option in that offense, the fourth option. And that's Hayden Hurst, right? Jamar Chase, T. Higgins are going to be the top two options. You still have Tyler Boyd there. I'm not saying that if you drafted tight end early, then you shouldn't have an issue with where you have to go, right? You're going to start Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce and Kyle Pitts. But if you did have a George Kittle, maybe you protected yourself with a guy like Hayden Hurst later on. And I do like at least the opportunity for some upside. You saw Joe Burrow, once CJ Uzomah took over as that guy, really kind of hyper-target him towards the back half of the season, right? Give him some opportunities, some scoring opportunities. Potentially the defense, Minkah Fitzpatrick, they're saying, hey, take away Jamar. Don't let Jamar go over the top. May provide some opportunity over the middle for Hayden Hurst to be a little bit of a sneaky little late-round tight end play. I'm not saying start Hayden Hurst over any of the damn studs, but do you feel more confident in your offense being run and led by Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, or being the third, maybe fourth option with Mitch Trubisky and a bad offensive line where, you got Trey Hendrickson on the other side of the ball,
Yep.
Sam Hubbard from Cincinnati that can get after the quarterback. There may be some situations where Freiermuth is asked to stay in and pass protect. So I think Hayden Hurst is a sneaky low-key play if you fade a tight end, which if I don't get one of the top tight ends personally, I'll just fucking wait and get Hayden Hurst, David Njoku way later. I'm not dabbling with the Freiermuths and the TJ Hawkinsons. I'll just wait. So I do like Hayden Hurst as well in that Cincinnati matchup.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that's a great kind of way to look at it. And to your point, Hayden Hurst and Pat Freiermuth almost nearly identical for anytime touchdowns. They're both right around 240. So if you really do believe in Hayden Hurst, clearly some of the books are kind of lockstep with you. And I think if we're talking about these offenses and what we project, we would much prefer targeting a Joe Burrow-led offense for a touchdown than a Mitch Trubisky-led one. The Cincinnati Bengals are at home in this matchup. They're favored by 6.5. I do think there's a chance they cover, but it could be a close one, over under a 44. So probably a low scoring game, not expecting a lot from it. I think that a lot of it will be driven by the run game. And Joe Mixon, we're going to see how that new offensive line really impacts this game, because that's what I'm looking for. I want to see, how does this offensive line look? This was the biggest story last season for the Bengals. They still made the Super Bowl. They bolstered that offensive line. How do they look now?
Yeah.
I think I think they are a good test, with TJ Watt on the other side and some of the other guys on the defensive line. I'm interested to see how that plays out. But Ray, what's the next game you want to get to? I think there's a lot of studs in this one, not a whole lot to get through from a, projection type of standpoint.
Well, let's talk about Philly and Detroit, man. I saw a tweet out there that Detroit sold out, standing room only, first time in like 10 years or something long time that they've been standing room only. They've kind of been the summer darlings with Hard Knocks and everybody falling in love with Dan Campbell. But you got the Jared Goff-led offense versus Jalen Hurts in this new look Philadelphia Eagles offense and defense. I think Philly's going to have one of the best defenses in the NFL. The addition of Jordan Davis, they get James Bradbury over there. They trade for,
TJ Gardner-Johnson.
Gardner Johnson. You still have Fletcher Cox up there. You still have Brandon Graham. They drafted Nakobe Dean, Darius Slay. Whoo! And I saw Detroit. Detroit is down, I think, 2 starting linemen, or they have 2 starting offensive linemen injured. I don't want to say that they're out yet. Nothing is confirmed, but I believe 2 starting offensive linemen for the Detroit Lions are out, which would not be good against Philadelphia, would not be good for DeAndre Swift. Oh, real quick, to answer your question, am I starting Deontay Johnson? Yes. I read from the Pittsburgh beat reporters that he was at practice and he was making every catch, and he looked fine. Okay. I read that. Cool. The issue is if he gets tackled and if it's an AC joint thing, does he get up? Knowing Deontay Johnson, he probably gets carted off and then comes back in and scores a touchdown 15 minutes later. So, but Philly-Detroit, any pause for concern about DeAndre Swift if that offensive line is down 2-3 linemen? And I don't know, maybe the chat can tell me. Did I get that right? 2-3?
So is there concern? I would say a little bit. As much as I love DeAndre Swift, he's one of the guys that's been very difficult for me to draft this offseason because, yes, there's all the hype, and there was the second half surge when Dan Campbell started calling the plays, and DeAndre Swift was the guy, and you're kind of like, is it going to happen again, though? Can we really count on this? How do we project this? And like you said, still up against a phenomenal defensive line. So you have to start DeAndre Swift, in my opinion. You're not benching him against the Eagles, but this matchup is looking so good for Philly. They're playing in a dome, controlled environment, great atmosphere. I've been to Ford Field a few times. It's awesome to be there, to play there. I'm sure it's even better. Yeah. But I think you have to start Swift. I think the question is more so on the other side, where are we starting? I mean, you got to start A.J. Brown, but would you start Devontae Smith against this team when it probably could be a blowout? Like, realistically, it could probably be a massive blowout for Philly. They're only favored by 4 on the road, but I mean, what's the ceiling? They could win 30-10, like pretty easily, in my opinion. So where are you at with Philly on the offensive side? I think the defensive side, are you starting Hawkinson? Probably not. You're not starting Shark. You're not starting Jamal Williams. You're not starting Jared Goff.
From the Detroit side, you're gonna start Swift. We got Swift projected right at 6 targets, 5 receptions, 33 yards. Not a lot of rushing yards. 10 attempts, 44 yards for Swift. A total of 14.62 fantasy points. Now, this doesn't account for injuries or any of that type of stuff, right? I do think he could see an increased target share, especially if the offensive line is injured, and Jared Goff, he has no problem checking it down. Got to get it out quick. Yeah. But we know that's what Swift does, right? He's going to get his 10 to 12, 15 carries, and he's going to get his targets and do well. But this could be a challenging matchup for him. Like, I'm not about to say bench DeAndre Swift. The hell no, not in week 1. Like, I'm out here saying start Cam Akers and bench DeAndre Swift. What am I talking about? But this could be a difficult matchup for him. I think Philly's going to be good, man. They've looked good, much like Buffalo, right? Philly played some of their guys in the preseason, even if it was only a series or 2, and they went out there, boom, 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 drive it down the field, score a touchdown, get them out of the game. A.J. Brown is there, Smitty on one side, Goddard, offensive line is good. I expect Philadelphia to be really good, man. I think Jalen Hurts is going to ball out. We got a nice little line on him as well. I mean, you're talking about the passing, rushing yards combined for him. Fantasy score, we got him projected over 20 for this matchup. So I'm firing up Hurts with confidence, firing up A.J. Brown. You probably have to play Smith. You got to play Smitty.
He's close. He's close,
play
right?
Smitty, wide receiver 2, 3-ish range. You're going to have to play Smitty. And then, of course, you're firing up Dallas Goedert. Do you have any interest in the Philadelphia backfield at all? Any of them? Scott, Gainwell,
0.
Sanders? Yeah, me either.
I don't want any of them. I think for some people, you may have to start Miles Sanders, but we at this point, you can't expect anything from him. I don't believe you can start Gainwell. You can't start Boston Scott, especially. No. You need to see how this ultimately plays out. And we know that Jalen Hurts still going to get his. To your point of his projections, 10 carries, 59 rushing yards is his projection right now. So, again,
Who's that, Miles Sanders?
No, this is for Jalen Hurts. 10 carries, 59 yards for Jalen Hurts is a projection right now. So, again, like a guy who we know can run a lot up against we'll see. Aiden Hutchinson on the other side, can he make an impact on this game in his first game? Probably at home, obviously Michigan kid. So he may be hyped up for the game, but at the end of the day, I think that the Eagles are going to get it done. It just depends on who's going to be the guys on the offense. And in my opinion, Jalen Hurts is ready to explode. We've talked about how his season could be phenomenal this year. I think there's a really good shot that he goes over whatever his projections are. It just comes down to it. I think Philly's going to win this game pretty easily. I think they can cover the spread. It just, what does Detroit look like on the other side?
This is a big season for Hurts, man. He's playing for a bag. PrizePicks has his rushing yard line at 45.5, and we got him projected for 50-something.
Almost 60, yeah.
I kind of like him, man. I kind of like the play, man.
Matchup's good.
Matchup is good for him. Amon-Ra St. Brown, we got to play him, right? Like, I know he's probably going to get Slay or Bradbury. It doesn't really matter, but you got to play Amon-Ra, right?
Well, the fear is he gets Gardner Johnson, right? That's someone who's big, who's fast, who can be physical with him. Right? That's the bigger thing for me, is that if he's another guy who covers tight ends very well, so he may see Hawkinson. But again, if he does see CJ is a guy who can be very physical and is bigger than Amon-Ra, which could be a bit of a problem for him. But I think he probably gets a bit of Hawkinson, and we'll see how he fits in. He is new as well, so you may not see that many snaps. But yeah, it's small concerns, but I think if you drafted him, he's probably your wide receiver 3, hopefully, maybe wide receiver 2. So I think you do have to play him in this matchup. And again, the bigger point is they will be down. Like, we fully project them to be down. So he could get a lot of targets in this game. If they're not the best targets, we'll see, but he should see a lot of targets.
Can we get the New England game out of the way real quick? Because I think this could be one of the grossest ones on the slate. What's the total? I want to know what the projected game total for this one is, because this is one.
It's 46.5 actually.
46.5.
Dolphins favored by 3 at home. Yeah.
I think it could get ugly for Mac. I mean, the only players that I want to play from New England, the only two that I want to run out there, Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. That's it.
You think you play both?
I think you have to.
I think it's a toss-up, right?
If you drafted one of them, you probably have to. I think you're fine with playing both of them. I think you're fine with playing either or. Like, I really do.
So Damian Harris over under 48.5 yards.
Over under 48.5 for Harris.
That's fine. He'll see his carries, right?
Yeah.
More likely than not.
Yeah.
So it's fine. Nothing for Ramondre yet, at least. But we'll see. Plus 180 for Ramondre for a touchdown, and Damian Harris plus 125. So that's pretty good. That's like 40% odds of scoring a touchdown for him. But yeah, it's just, for me, it's tough because Bill talks about Ramondre getting work in the receiving game, which is awesome. We love to hear that, but it doesn't mean that I know how the backfield's going to shake out. It could just be a lot of Damian Harris. We want Ramondre to be a thing.
I think Ramondre's going to get his too. Because here's the thing, Jay, they're not going to throw it to Damian Harris. Like, you already know that's not going to happen. And if the New England offensive line is under duress like they were during the preseason, Mac's going to have to get this shit out quick, man. He's not going to have time. Like, I saw somebody say Jacoby Myers, if you got to play a receiver, sure. But I honestly think it's a coin toss between him and Devontae Parker. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows what to expect out of this passing attack being called by Matt Patricia. And I'm seeing a lot of talking heads saying Bill is going to get punished this year and then retire. I think we talked about this on the show. Like, get out of New England, right? Like, it just looks bad, man. The Miami side of the ball, fire them all up. Give me Tua. I want Waddle in my lineup. I want Tyreek Hill.
You're good with Waddle? I think Waddle's the big
practiced.
question for a lot of people, right? I think he's the big question. They said he's going to be ready to go. So
I'm playing Waddle,
if you trust that, you play Waddle. Obviously, high draft pick, phenomenal season last season, rapport with Tua. But I do think, like we've talked about all offseason, it will be, how do we get Tyreek Hill into the game early and involved? Big signing, all these things. Hopefully, Waddle doesn't fall too far behind in that regard. Marlon's asking about Hunter Henry. He's kind of touchdown or bust for me. Maybe a top 10 tight end projections wise, or I don't even know if I want to go there with Hunter Henry. Ugh, man, you can start him if you want, but I think it's risky, man. I think you start Chase Edmonds. If you got Chase Edmonds, he's probably going to be in for a big workload. Are you starting Tua? Would you do that? Do you trust him against New England?
Yeah. Who does New England have that you fear? That defense was milquetoast last year.
They lost J.C. Jackson, and how they make that work now is interesting. And I think we'll see a lot of passing. I'd fire Tua's ass up. I'd fire him up. Like, he ain't my, like, I'm not saying he's QB5 here, but super flex formats, hell yeah. As your QB2, firing him up with confidence, baby. Like, not even a question, man. Like, you got Matthew Judon. They got to replace J.C. Jackson. Yeah.
This is not the same New England team, man. Tom Brady covered up a lot. Tom Brady made up for a lot of the inefficiencies, the poor drafting of the New England Patriots, which they went ahead and did it again by taking Cole Strange in the first round. It's gotten wrecked through preseason, and Tyquan Thornton, who's out for 8 weeks. So I'm not playing Mac this week. I'm playing Ramondre. I'll play Damian Harris, and then other than that, I don't want anybody else, man. And I like Mac Jones.
Yeah, so to your point, actually, Tua is one of the lowest rated quarterbacks on the MySparry database right now. He's only projected for 200 yards and 1 touchdown, almost 1 interception, 12.8 fantasy points. And on PrizePicks, I believe his line is 17. It's actually a pretty big under, one of the biggest unders we have as far as edges and fantasy score goes. I think it will be, I think it's what we project. A lot of dink and dunk from Tua, not a lot of long passes, especially early, but we'll see. Maybe they can challenge with Tyreek Hill. We have seen them complete some deep passes in the preseason and obviously plenty in practice. But, I think it's going to be a lot of shell coverage because Bill's not going to want to give up the big play. They'll run the ball a lot, right? Bill's very familiar with Tyreek Hill. He's been beat by him more than a few times. Yeah. So hopefully he has a plan to just play back there, let them methodically go down the field because Bill should know that's their only chance of staying in this game.
Talk to me about talk to me about Mostert, man. You think Mostert's sneaky this week? If you need to flex, like they're gonna platoon that backfield. It's coming, man. And Mostert only needs a little bit, man. I'm not saying load him into your RB2 spot, folks. I'm talking about a flex play. Would you feel confident throwing out Raheem Mostert?
Maybe. But the problem is like, DFS? Is he going to lead the backfield? And we don't know. Well, in DFS, I don't know what his price is, but I have to imagine it would be fairly low, right? Yeah. So if you think there's a shot he could be the starter and New England can get run on like crazy, and again, we're kind of projecting the Dolphins to be ahead in this game, run the ball, work the ball down the field slowly, and Mostert is the big play guy, right? I don't think Chase Edmonds necessarily has that big play ability in him, but he will be the guy who catches pass out of the backfield more likely than not. So I think you're hoping on the big play from Mostert, but the problem is it doesn't look like he has much touchdown upside on the MySpark projections. Only 0.2 his projection right now for a touchdown. So again, it will have to be a long one more likely than not. And he's still one of the guys who's one of the fastest players in the NFL as far as in-game speed is concerned. So that is a big point. And if he gets loose, he's probably gone. And that's why you take a shot on Raheem Mostert. But as far as playing him in my lineups, deep leagues, maybe. Best ball, he's great because if you get the long touchdown, he's going to be in your lineup. But tough a little bit in a lineup league as far as I'm concerned.
All right, pull up the projections for the Cleveland-Carolina game.
Oh, God.
Because we got to talk about the Baker revenge game, man. He said he's going to F them up. He said he's going to F up the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, man, I think so. I think that was for real. Like, you didn't see that?
No.
Like, he said that. He said, I want to F them up, man.
I'm not shocked.
Unless I'm getting punked here and that was a fake tweet, but I'm almost positive he said he was going to F him up, man.
One of the funniest tweets I saw was actually from Kate Maggiuk. She's like, Baker Mayfield's going to walk into this game with no pads because he's got so many chips on his shoulders.
Yeah, he's got so many chips, just chips on his shoulders. Carolina. All right, from the Cleveland side, Nick Chubb firing him up. David Njoku, you good with David Njoku?
Yeah.
If you faded tight end early, right? If you didn't get here's the thing, you didn't get Pitts, Kelsey, Andrews, Kittle, Waller. Yeah. You probably waited if you were smart. You didn't overpay for Hawkinson. You didn't overpay for one of those kind of mid-range tight ends, the Freiermuth, and you went at. I've got some teams with Njoku as my tight end 1, man, and I don't really have a choice but to throw him out there. What do we got in Njoku? I was going to say, what are his projections?
35.5 on the books. His projection 25 yards, receiving yards. You can't expect a lot. You can't expect a lot. Is Baker gonna really F them up? What do you think, Ray? I don't necessarily think he will, personally. I still think that he's got to deal with Myles Garrett. He knows that. His ass is gonna if he's telling fans out there that we're gonna fuck up the Browns with Myles Garrett on the other side, how good is that Carolina offensive line? Last time I checked, it's not very good. So I wouldn't, again, Baker's gonna do what he's gonna do. He wants to, prove the haters wrong. He's at home, his first home game. I don't know, Ray. I just want to know who you think's going to win. This game is a literal pick'em right now. Who do you think's going to win this matchup?
I think Cleveland. Defensively, they're the better team. I'll just tell you, the players in the model that look good, Amari Cooper, Kareem Hunt, DJ Moore, Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Jacoby Brissett, not really, and Christian McCaffrey.
Not really, no.
Christian McCaffrey, we got him projected to do very, very well today. I don't have any interest in anybody else, man. I'm not playing no who is this? What is this? Dan Arnold, Deontay Foreman, Hollywood Higgins, Robbie Anderson, DPJ. None of those guys. I do think Cleveland gets it done. Defensively, I think they're a better team. They still have Myles Garrett. They got Greedy Williams. They got Denzel Ward, in my opinion. You know, a lot of people talk about Jalen Ramsey being the best corner in the league. I think I would take Denzel Ward is that dude, man. Denzel Ward is really
very good.
He's really like that at defensive back. Like I think he's
about that life.
Jalen Ramsey might be the better defensive player overall because he plays that star position, but Denzel Ward is that guy. So it'll be an interesting matchup to see Denzel versus DJ. I just want to see CMC healthy, man. Like, just get through the game. Get through the game.
He's on the
CMC.
injury report. He's on the injury report.
He scratched his shin.
Right?
Stop. He scratched his shin. Stop. No deep sleepers in this one. I don't think there's anybody that you can fool somebody with and go trick them and start and get a boom performance. And inevitably, it'll be David Bell who scores 2 touchdowns some way, somehow in this matchup, Jay. All right, let's get some more let's get a high-powered game, Jay. Vegas versus LA. Get the Chargers, get Herbert, get Derek Carr. Darren Waller's hamstring that made sure he couldn't practice any over the summer. OTAs, training camp, just did nothing. Looks like he's ready to go. He just didn't want to practice. Wants his deal. Waller's back. Devontae Adams back home with his, really not home, but he's with his college quarterback, Derek Carr. We've got the committee in the Raiders' backfield. We don't know what's going to happen back there. We assume Josh Jacobs is going to be the guy. And then on the LA side of the ball, we already know it's Big Nasty at quarterback, Justin Herbert. Howitzer Herbert going to do his thing versus that new look Raiders defense. You got Austin Eckler. We know Keenan Allen. I want to talk about Gerald Everett, Josh Palmer. Is there any interest in those two guys, right? Because we know the other players that we talked about you're going to roll out there. But where are you at with like Everett and Palmer from the LA Chargers side of the ball?
I think, if we're talking about dumpster diving tight ends, I think that you can play Gerald Everett if you have to. I think he is an option for a lot of teams because, again, this should be a high-powered game, a lot of passing yards, a lot of opportunities. Josh Palmer's a guy that I don't think I would quite go there with yet. Again, at the end of the day, I do believe that the Chargers should win this game handily, right? Like, we can say the Raiders are improved. Yeah, I think they can win this game handily. I think they're a way better team. We didn't even talk about J.C. Jackson being added to the team. We didn't talk.
J.C. Jackson's not playing. He's out.
Oh yeah, J.C. Jackson's hurt.
Yeah, he's hurt.
I forgot he's hurt.
And the Raiders and the Chargers,
that would have been a big difference.
They played tough last year, man. But go ahead.
So the X factor, I think, Ray, and we're both looking for this, is how did they actually stop the run? Because last year they didn't give a damn about the run, right? They let teams run all over them. They allowed the most rushing yards in the league, and it's all about the pass. And so I think I'm interested to see how this plays out, because that's now kind of the weakness, in my opinion, of the Raiders, right? That offensive line has gotten a little bit worse. We'll see what happens with Josh Jacobs. They added Zamir White, who hopefully adds their depth. But if they're going to play the same style of defense, then we're probably going to see a lot more running the ball. Max Crosby on the other side, he's phenomenal and really wrecked in that last game, Week 17, when they did ultimately beat the Chargers. But I just think the Chargers are going to be better this year, man. We talked about Josh Allen coming out with a fire under his ass because of the game that he lost. Justin Herbert lost a game that really wasn't his fault against these same Raiders to not even make the playoffs, right? And he's playing for a new contract extension as well, right? So I think these things kind of in place, Josh Palmer kind of ascending, Gerald Everett being involved, I think we could see a really big game from these Chargers. And it's a statement game for them to say we're really the guys in the AFC West and not the Chiefs. But, the Chiefs will still do their thing.
Yeah, we got Hunter Renfrow projected for about 8 targets, 6 receptions. Hunter Renfrow looks good in the model. Mike Williams, fire his ass up. Keenan Allen, you want to play all those guys. I'm with you. I think I'll chill on Palmer this week, but you're definitely watching. And if you dumpster dived at tight end, you're waiting to see if Herbert kind of hyper targets or at least gives Gerald Everett some looks. And maybe not this week, maybe not week 1, but week 2, week 3, Gerald Everett is a name you write down and be like, all right, Kittle burned me a little bit. I went and picked up Everett. I got me some Everett. I can play him with a little more confidence, right? A little more confidence moving forward. And we're not doing anything with any of the running backs behind Austin Eckler. None of those guys.
No. No Sony Michel. No. I'm not going there.
No.
And Isaiah Spiller probably not going to play either, which kind of sucks. But
now Zeus White could play, Jay.
I think
Zeus
there's
White
a real
could play.
where he could get 10 carries, right? Like, why not?
Could.
Why not? I mean, Jacobs doesn't want the full-time role. They're talking about a
Jacobs
committee.
doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want it.
Yeah.
Doesn't want it. All
right? Amir Abdullah maybe gets some work. We have his projection at actually pretty decent.
All right, now we're getting
maybe get some work. I'm not saying you start him, but we don't know who's going to be involved in the committee right now. We have to see how it plays out. Josh McDaniels, obviously his first game. We saw how he looked as a head coach. I mean, Zamir White, 3 carries, 3 yards, 3 TDs. George, if that happened, would I be shocked? Maybe he's Jordan Howard. I don't know.
Yeah, George is probably right, man. He's going to get 3 carries, all from the 1 yard line, 3 touchdowns. So we're not going to play Zeus, but we're going to pay attention. Let's go to NFC South, man. New Orleans versus Atlanta. Looks like Drake London is going to play.
Woo!
Something was wrong with him, man. He gets first preseason game, catches the ball 24 yards, gets tackled, knee gets hurt. We don't know what it is, but he ain't practiced in like a month. They showed some video of him the other day. Looked fine. He's running through the ladder drills. He's catching the ball. Looks like London is going to play, so we get to see the Twin Towers in action. Drizzy, Pitts, you're playing those 2 guys. You're not starting Marcus Mariota. My question is, I'm just asking, Cordell Patterson at all? Like, are you like 100%. You're in 100%. On that? Yeah. Like you're like, yes, start Cordell Patterson?
Yeah, man, 100%. I think he's got tons of touchdown upside, right? He'll do some work in the receiving game and in the rushing game. He's probably, we could say Kyle Pitts is the most dynamic player they have, but in a lot of ways it is Cordell Patterson, right? Like, say what you want about his talent. Maybe he's a little bit older than you'd like him to be, but he's good. Like, he's a good player. He scored a bunch of touchdowns last season, was an RB1. Not saying he's going to do that again this year, but again, if you give the guy 4 targets and 8, 9 carries, he's probably going to get you 50, 60 yards. He has a great shot at the touchdown. The issue is the defense, right? And how does Marcus Mariota look? Because he's the guy that can either make that defense back up a little bit or bring them closer to the line of scrimmage. And that's the biggest problem for me is, can they stretch the field? Can they open up that defense, force them to play simply beyond a 1 high, if they even need to play 1 high, because they may just play straight man against those guys, right? They have a great secondary. They have great DBs. And obviously that defensive front with Cam Jordan anchoring that line is going to be really good as well. So it'll be tough, man. It'll be tough. I think my biggest question is, would you start Chris Olave? I think we're probably going to start Michael Thomas because it's a great matchup, but can you start Chris Olave in this matchup?
The MT matchup is shitty because AJ Terrell is top 5, ascending top 5.
Not worried about it. Not worried about it at all.
This is Michael Thomas. I like MT too.
I'm not worried about it at all.
We got MT projected pretty nice, man. Like he's up there as a top 5 play in this game as a skill position.
I think he's the only wide receiver of consequence for the Saints in this game.
I'm with you. I think he's about him, and I think Winston is just going to keep throwing it to him, man. He's just going to.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you, but that's the one thing I want to point out here, right? Because surprisingly, we expect them to do that, but at the same breath, like, Atlanta's really bad. Like, that's no joke. Last time they played Atlanta, they had 150.
Terrell isn't bad man.
They had 150 yards from Alvin Kamara on 30 carries last week of the season last year. And that was with Matt Ryan at quarterback, right? And they still won the game like 30-20. So that's my only concern, is that my Sparry has Jameis Winston projected for only 23 pass attempts, right? His line on all the books, price picks included, is 30. I'm kind of with them. Like, if this game isn't very close and the Saints really dominate on both sides of the ball, where's the incentive for Jameis Winston to pass the ball much in the second half?
23 and that's where is low in this.
It's very low.
In this,
it's very low.
Yeah, I'm not buying.
Last time they played them, they only threw the ball 24 times.
Yeah,
and they put up 30 points.
Though? Who's the quarterback?
Oh, it's Taysom Hill, and it was Trevor Siemian was the other quarterback there. But again, it's just. But I don't think the game script changes. Last season, when they beat Green Bay, 38-3, Jameis Winston threw the ball like 20 times and had 5 touchdowns.
I see people asking about London, man, and he's my wide receiver 1 in the class. I think he's going to be a beast. This is a tough matchup for him. Marshawn is going to get physical, and
if he sees Marshawn,
is very good against big receivers. You see what he does to Mike Evans.
Well,
man,
he just does it to Mike Evans. He owns Mike Evans. The thing with Marshawn is that is he going to show up in this game? Because does he care? With Marshawn, it has nothing to do with the opponent. Is he playing Mike Evans or is he not? Because if he's playing Mike Evans, he will show up and he will do his
Mike
best
Evans
to make
every
sure.
time.
Yeah, do not play Mike Evans. But if he's playing somebody else, they may get him on a dig route. He may get him on a blow by, right?
Every now and then, but that's still a tough.
He'll give you something.
That's a hell of a test for a rookie receiver that hasn't practiced in a month. He hadn't done shit. You know what I mean? I mean, apparently,
assuming he gets him, because he could be on Pitts as well, right? If Pitts is the guy outside, maybe they throw him on Pitts.
The interesting thing in this matchup is Pitts is not lining up in line, but a couple of times. Marshawn might be on Pitts, man, and that's an even more difficult task, right? Because they did lose CJ Gardner Johnson,
who would definitely be on Pitts,
who could, So there's a lot of little games inside the game of this one. Alvin Kamara, good with him. I'm not, I don't want to play Jarvis Landry or any of those guys in this matchup, man. But this is, I'm pretty intrigued by this one, man. I think MT is going to play well. I know a lot of people in the chat think he's washed, not good. I think he's still fine, man.
I get it.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Saints 6-point favorites on the road, 43-point over/under. So again, not projecting 43? A lot of points. Yeah, not projecting a lot of points, and Saints heavily favored in this matchup for good reason, right? That defense is going to be really good this year.
Daniel Jones, let's just get it. Let's just talk about it real quick. We're not going to talk long.
Danny Dimes.
Saquon, right? That's it?
Would you start Tony? Can I interest you in some Tony?
I really don't want to.
Give them the lay of the land. Who are they playing? Because I don't know.
They're playing Tennessee.
Tennessee. That's who it is. Tennessee.
Yeah, they're playing Tennessee.
I don't know. So it's actually funny. So I was watching.
We got Derrick Henry projected to go off versus the Giants. So
not
that you needed us to tell you, but start Derrick Henry versus the Giants, please. No, I'm not playing Kadarius Toney. I don't want him.
So I think the real question is, how do you feel about Tennessee? Because Rob Pizzola was on Pat Mayo's podcast, and he actually said he liked the Giants in this matchup with the 6.5
I said
points.
It, man.
Because people don't think that Tennessee is going to be very good, right? They lost A.J. Brown. How does Treylon Burks fill that void? How does the offensive line look? The defense is... Burks is getting the tutty. Do you want to go solo and I can just mute myself?
No, Burks is getting a touchdown. I'm just saying Burks is going to get a touchdown. That's all I said. Burks is going to get a touchdown. That's it.
Burks is getting a touchdown. Okay, so you heard it here first. Ray G says Treylon Burks, touchdown, lock loaded, guaranteed. You're playing them this week for sure.
If the Giants beat Tennessee, should they just start Malik Willis after Ryan? If Ryan Tannehill can't get through the Giants, just be like, fuck it. Let's just go with Malik. Yeah, probably.
So Elwood said in the chat, Tooney in garbage time. If Tennessee is up, like you're kind of projecting, right? Like there could be a world where there's a lot of targets available beyond Saquon, right? We have Saquon projected for 16 carries, 60 yards with 6 targets and another 4 receptions, 30 yards. So a lot of work for Saquon 15.72 fantasy points, almost as much as Tannehill, Jesus. But outside of that, is it just going to be Saquon for you? You don't think there's any chance we see something from Tony, from Golladay? I'm not really trying to start Golladay, but Tony's the one that, the yards per route run that he had last season, potential breakout. It's just, can Daniel Jones get him the ball?
And on Tennessee side, I mean, it's Derrick Henry. If you got to play, if you had to play Woods, I was gonna say if you had to play one receiver, would you play Woods or Burks? I think Woods is better.
Oh, I'm playing Woods for sure.
Yeah, he's the better option.
That short area passing game. He's honestly, I think he's the discount AJ Brown in a lot of ways. He can run those kind of patterns. Not so much the deep stuff, but the intermediate stuff, the crossers that Woods has really made a career off of. He can do very, very well. Burks, we'll just see how his utilization is in the offense overall.
Green Bay, Minnesota. Just pull it up. And I'm just going to tell you right now.
Green Bay, Minnesota.
Sammy Watkins, fire him up with full confidence. It's week 1. There's no other receivers. Sammy Watkins, week 1. It happens every year. We get a great Sammy week 1, and then he's terrible after that. No, I don't think you should start Sammy Watkins. But you are going to fire up Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I think Aaron Jones could go ballistic in this one. Just receiving, rushing. I'm firing up Aaron Jones with full confidence versus the Vikings. Wide receiver-wise, we still don't know if Allen Lazard is going to play. They could be rolling out Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins.
Christian Watson. Back in practice,
Dobbs,
healthy.
Watson.
Romeo Dobbs. Woo.
I don't know what they're going to do. I have no clue. Tanyan, I don't know, man. I just want I think Aaron Jones is going to get a lot of work. I just want Aaron Jones. Lazard may not play.
I'm so excited to see this new Vikings offense. Like, so excited, bro.
Yeah.
If they, like, we don't have crazy projections for Cousins. 23 completions, 35 attempts, 237, 2 tubs. Like, not a lot, but let me tell you, he could blow those out of the water easily.
Jefferson looks great,
They are playing at home. Justin Jefferson, for people who don't know, famous.
Give the stat. Famous. Yeah, this is
famous on the
talk.
show.
Let's go.
Famous on the show. Justin Jefferson, he's
splits.
At home.
Uh-huh.
He's at home, right? So home doesn't matter. Justin Jefferson indoors averages 105 receiving yards per game, and outdoors he averages 60 receiving yards per game. Justin Jefferson is indoors. He is at home against Green Bay.
Smash.
Start him with confidence. 100 yards, locked, loaded, guaranteed. But yeah, this hit, I think, 15 of 17 weeks last year that we tracked it. If he's indoors, he goes over almost every single time. And outdoors, he's not so good. Of course, playing in Green Bay, playing in Chicago in the cold, not so great for him. But he also didn't hit in Carolina and a few other places. San Francisco was the other one he didn't play outdoors. Or didn't play very well outdoors. But for whatever reason, indoors he plays really good. So does Cousins, right? So start
Josh
him
is giving you some
with
love
full
too.
confidence.
Shout out Josh Harper. He said he saw that stat last year too. And Jay Rich is on that one.
Bro, it's straight cash almost every time. So, I mean, he should be good for an over in this matchup. I think his over-under is like 84.
80 and a half on Prize Picks. 80 and a half with 6.5 receptions.
Over. Yeah, and I think he's good for a touchdown too. I think he's good for a touchdown too.
Good for a touchdown.
He could go off. You know, we'll see if you'll probably see Jair Alexander, which isn't fun, but I think that new look offense, he'll get some free looks and do very, very well with it.
Can I interest you in some Irv Smith?
Hell no. Hell no. I'm not going after Irv Smith. I'm not chasing that.
All right.
Kansas City,
Arizona. Kansas City, Arizona. You heard Patrick Mahomes yesterday say, break all of our hearts by saying, fantasy football lovers, don't be prepared because there is no true wide receiver one on this team outside of Travis Kelce. I think we're going to see a full-fledged running back. It's going to be Clyde. It's going to be McKinnon. It's going to be Pacheco, receiver. It might be an MVS week. It might be a McCole Hardman week. It could be, if I had to pick one, I'm laying my hat on Juju, right? Like, that's the guy 100%. I want. 100% Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm firing him up across multiple leagues. Travis Kelce's the guy that you want. My question is, do you start Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
I think you have to. I think that he has earned the starting role. And as much as we can bash Clyde Edwards-Helaire for not really being the guy that he was supposed to be, he's over-under his 44.5 rushing yards. That's fine. You know, his over-under is 12.5 receiving yards. That would be okay. 2-3 receptions here or there. And he's favored to score a touchdown. He's minus 125. So, I mean, if you got all that from Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you'd be pretty happy. Right? If he gave you 50 yards and a touchdown, that's what, 11 points, a couple receptions, maybe gets you 13 points. He's your RB2, RB3. I think you'd be pretty happy with that. And the main reason why I like this matchup is because Arizona's god-awful. Like, they're terrible on defense. We don't know what they're going to throw out there, especially in the secondary. Travis Kelce should eat. Juju should eat. We'll see if it's MVS, if it's, Sky Moore potentially getting involved in the action. But I'm telling you, all reports are that honestly, Mahomes could just cook them. Like, his projections aren't crazy high. They're like 289, I think it's 2.7 touchdowns.
290, 28 completions, 290.
43 attempts, though.
Yeah.
Bro.
I mean,
you give me that? So,
Mahomes,
one guy I want to talk about, though, is would you start A.J. Green if Zach Ertz is out?
Wait,
knowing
Zach
they're probably going to play
out?
He's hurt. He might play, right? He might play. He's because Rondell Moore's got his hamstring injury, right? Hamstring injury, I believe. So he might not play. Zach Ertz.
Stop scaring me. Rondell
is he going to play?
Yeah, he's fine, man. Damn.
Are you sure? Man, I don't know.
He's
I'm just saying.
All right, go back to. You said, would you start AJ Green?
Well, it's if they're out. I'm hearing reports. There was reports that they were injured all week, and so you're saying Rondell Moore is now fine. He was hurt like 3 days ago, so now all of a sudden he's fine. But AJ Green on the outside, I mean, no Hopkins is there. He'll probably see his targets. I'm not saying I'm starting him.
Shit.
But yeah.
All right. I mean, I'm just starting. I want Hollywood. I'm starting Hollywood Brown.
Hollywood.
And James Conner and Kyler Murray. And if Zach Ertz is playing, then Zach Ertz. I thought
Rondell Moore to undergo MRI for hamstring injury, could miss week 1 versus the Chiefs. That was reported yesterday.
I missed that. I thought he was fine.
Yeah.
Well,
And
no,
then
I don't
Zach
wanna
Ertz
fucking
missing
play him then.
practice with a calf issue. So he may not play as well.
Already getting gross week 1.
Which is another reason why we love the Chiefs. Chiefs should just dominate. Kyler
I
Murray,
mean, if
gotta play him. Marquise Brown,
Moore's
gotta play
out,
him.
AJ Green,
He got a lot of targets last year.
who else is they gonna throw to? No Hopkins, no more. Like I'm Antoine Wesley.
Yeah, well, you saw that catch in the preseason, man. You never know.
I know he was hurt at some point. I don't want
Yeah.
any of those fucking guys, man. I don't want any of them. The Chiefs.
Watch that injury report and listen to Jeff's podcast. Hopefully, he'll talk about Rondell Moore.
Yeah,
on
we
Sunday.
got check out Jeff Mueller, our injury analyst, Destination Devi. He'll do all that. When does that come out?
Sunday mornings.
Sunday
Sunday
morning.
mornings that'll come out. So he'll give it. He usually releases it like he'll record it Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. Send it to me. We'll drop it in the morning so you guys can get an updated injury report. But follow that injury report because there may be multiple guys out for the Cardinals in the receiving game, and that could bolster up some of those other options. Especially obviously Marquise Brown, who you're starting. And then I'm assuming you're starting James Conner because we do love James Conner as well.
Yes.
It's just, is there anyone outside of Juju and Kelsey that you would start in this matchup?
That I would start? No, Juju and Kelsey. Juju and Kelsey. Clyde, you might not have a choice, right? Like,
I think you can start him, man. I think it's a great
you
matchup.
can start him too. I don't feel good about it. I don't feel great about it, but you know, if you played Akers, you're fucked. You know what I'm saying? Like you got a zero, so you just got to try to find some upside somewhere. Bet on good offenses. All right, Davis Mills versus Matt Ryan. Jonathan Taylor, yes. Michael Pittman, yes.
Crushed Houston last year. Oh
no other skill position players. Taylor,
no,
Pittman,
not Alec Pierce, no,
not Paris Campbell, not any tight end. No. From the Houston side, Damian Pierce, fire him up.
Yeah, and
Brandon Cooks, you have to.
That's it.
Chilling on Nico
not
this
playing
week.
Collins. Nope.
Chilling on Brevin Jordan.
Yep.
That's it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Best ball, great. You got Nico Collins in best ball, love it. You know, you got some of these other cats in best ball, love it. But lineup league, I'm not actively starting them. Jacksonville, Washington could be kind of sneaky, man. I'm firing up Christian Kirk, Travis Etienne. I like Christian Kirk, Etienne this week versus.
That it? Would you play Trevor Lawrence? Are you playing your golden boy this week?
It's not my golden boy.
No
what
Chase
are you
Young?
talking about? Nah, man.
The one that says Trevor Lawrence is going to smash. Antonio Gibson, right? Must start.
Absolutely.
Jahan Dodson, would you flex him against the Jaguars? So start him wide receiver 2.
If you have to do that and you're in a bad boat, then I don't hate it. Like, I don't hate it. I don't love it either, but I don't hate it. Like, of the rookie wide receivers, I think he could find some space, but you just don't want to do that week 1, right? Like, you just don't want to do that week 1. Terry McLaurin, absolutely firing him up. I don't know who's starting at tight end for Washington. I have no clue.
Bro, it might be Logan Thomas.
Logan Thomas is back?
Yeah, man, he's back. It might be. So there's reports that he was potentially going to be back. Like, so he was returned to practice and was feeling better, but they weren't 100% sure about him being active for week 1. But I mean, he's got some props, man. Like, he may be in there. So you imagine Jahan Dodson, Antonio Gibson, Logan Thomas, Terry McLaurin. Like, that's a pretty good offense if Logan Thomas can be like decent. And then they're talking about Curtis Samuel. I mean, we'll see. I don't know about that. Not starting him. No. We'll see if he's any good, right?
No. Absolutely not. All right. Last game. Tampa Bay, Dallas. We saved the best for last because the Dallas Cowboys should be, I don't know, man. I mean, Dak, CD, Schultz, Pollard, Zeke. Those are the 5 you start from Dallas. Don't fool around with Jalen Tolbert week 1. Don't do it. Don't play around with that. Don't get cute and throw Tolbert out there. Those are the 5 players. I think you start all 5 of those guys. Tampa Bay, you starting Chris Godwin. I asked you this on yesterday. Are you going to start Chris Godwin? No. Even if he's active, you're not doing it.
No.
Make sure people know that, man. Make sure people know not to.
I don't think you can trust it. This dude's coming off an ACL. What is he? 9 months removed from an ACL?
Yeah, I would.
And people usually say you can play in 9 months, but you should wait, right? And he's not good till the next season. And usually they say, I think 11 to 12 months is a more accurate representation of when you can feel a little bit better, right? But yeah, I would not be playing him week 1. I think
Leonard Fournette.
Would you play? Yeah, you're playing Fournette. Absolutely. Would you play Gage? Hoping he gets some out. He's been hurt too. Is he? I don't even know if he's fully back yet.
He's been hurt. I don't
hurt.
know either. I've heard nothing from the Gage camp, like nothing. We got some of
limited
Wednesday. Limited?
Yeah, limited Wednesday. So not great. And hasn't practiced at all.
I want Mike Evans. I want Leonard Fournette. Yeah. And I think there's a sneaky, whoever the starting tight end is it Cameron Brate?
Cameron Brate?
Listen,
okay.
the preseason game where Tom Brady played versus the Colts, Cameron Brate had quite a few targets. So I'm just saying, again, if you faded tight end early and you're dumpster diving, right? You're down there and you got like Brevin Jordans and those kind of tight ends. I think, when you got to do that, just bet on good offenses and great quarterbacks. So if anybody can make Cameron Brate relevant for a day, if you faded tight end, it's Tom Brady. And Dallas can't cover the tight ends. They're not really good at doing that, right? The Dallas linebacking core is a work in progress. We'll see how it plays out. Anthony Barr was getting cooked in preseason practices, training camp practices. The Dallas defense is it's Micah Parsons, Tank Lawrence, Diggs, and it's opportunistic, but we will give up some points. It's a Sunday night matchup. Tampa Bay's offensive line is bad too. It's not just Dallas's offensive front that's bad. Tampa Bay, and they got to deal with Parsons, right? And Parsons was getting after their ass last year as a rookie, and now he's even better in his second season. So there could be a lot of sacks in this game. I'm very concerned for the left side of Dallas's line with 45-year-old Jason Peters, a rookie tackle.
And in his first game too?
Rookie guard and Tyler Smith, Tyler Biadasz, they're just not good at center. This could be ugly, man. So, yeah.
Who's winning, Ray? Do you have any faith in your Dallas Cowboys to get it done versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
No. Little faith. I'm being realistic. I'm not.
Zero.
I've got little
chance.
Faith. I've got little. We need.
They're at home though. They're at home. You can go to the game. I mean, if you got how much money that cost you?
I got a boot on my foot. I can't do that, man. I don't think they get it done. I just think Tampa Bay's a little bit better. They have the better quarterback. And Dallas is just beat up, man. There's no number 2 receiver. That's a problem, man. It's like CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, Tony Pollard, Zeke. That's it. Don't play anybody else from this game. Don't get cute, man. Do not get cute, man. I'm just keeping it real. I have little confidence that Dallas can pull this off. All right, Jay. Anything else you want to say? We got a lot of stuff coming out tomorrow, today, Sunday morning. So let's give the people the rundown. So Jay and I, for those of y'all out there who are bettors, we will be putting out a college football prop video for the Saturday slate. Today, I had one that dropped yesterday. Make sure you check out those lines. Anthony Richardson line will continue to bump. Jay, we're both doing NFL picks for prize picks. So that'll be on the channel. That'll drop today or tomorrow. Jay might have a college football play out, so make sure you tap into Didi for that. Newsletter dropped this morning. So in the link in the description, free newsletter for a little bit longer. Super dope. Dynasty Barry, who's in the chat, Jordan Backus, Mike and Adam, Jeff, Eugene and Ike, the whole squad putting together content for y'all. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. We've got a pod coming out on Saturday. Sunday morning is the injury podcast from our injury doctor. And then we also have Mike and Adam, the two hosts of the 40 podcast, doing a start-sit show Sunday morning at 10 or 11 a.m.
I think it's 11.
I think it's 11 to 11:50.
Eastern?
Yeah, so it'll be live on the channel. We won't be on there. We'll be in the chat, but Mike and Adam will be there to answer your start-sit questions. Let's do our super chat. We got a bunch of super chats, so let's get to it. Let's have some fun, baby. Super chat Friday. Let's go. Stone, this is for Jay Rich. I can admit when I'm wrong. Tip of the cap. I'll get my money back on the Darnell Mooney bet. So there you go, man. Rico's my guy, man. He is we got to get, I wish I can, make
so
him. So
Brandon said 12-1 for the start-sit show.
12 to 1
right up to
Eastern.
kickoff.
Yeah, so that's 11 to 12, my time. Rico, man, appreciate it, man. Here we go right here. Here we go. DB4331. Try to buy Allen Robinson or he's cooked. Bye.
Yeah, I think you can still buy him,
97% of the snaps he was on the field, man. I'm not worried about it. Stafford's got to be better. I don't think it was an A-Rob problem. He didn't even get the ball thrown his way, and he was open clearly multiple times. If you can get him for a second rounder, would you do it, Jay? Random ass second?
Yeah, I would. 100%. 100%.
Same. Here we go. All right, JK or a random 24 first. Scorched Earth rebuild. First. Easy. First. I've learned my lesson with these hurt running backs. I've learned my lesson. 30-plus points is light work for Super Saiyan Allen. Yeah, and it would have been more had he not thrown 2 interceptions, right? Just
Yep.
good. He is in God mode. Here we go. Another Bills question. Is Crowder a drop if you have a talented bench or hold? Put him back on the block with no takers. I think he's a landmine. I don't want him. I don't want him. I don't want him. I don't
think he's ever going to be the starter. That's the problem, right? Like, but if this is dynasty though, do you want to maybe hold because if Isaiah McKenzie gets injured,
you're not dropping him in dynasty. You're not going to drop him, but redraft.
But it's just making sure, right? In redraft, I think you can drop him. Yeah.
If it's best ball, sure, but you're never going to start Jamison Crowder ever.
Well, not unless McKenzie gets hurt.
Unless
right?
McKenzie,
so
and even then,
that's a big factor.
Even then,
no, don't say that. If McKenzie gets hurt, he's a 100 target guy because that's the role in the offense. The problem is they split, right? I think combined they saw 7 targets in that game. So if it's a full-time role for one of those guys, they will be very valuable. And obviously McKenzie scored a touchdown.
All right. With Kittle out, I'm looking at the waiver wire to replace him. Henry, Njoku, Jordan, Everett. Who would you pick up, Jay?
Everett. I think he's got the highest upside by a lot.
For me right now, it's Henry or Njoku. It would be Hunter Henry.
So you're playing the volume in a bad offense over the less volume in the good offense.
I'm playing, if you take Henry, you're playing touchdowns. Like, that's all you're playing is he scored a lot with Mac Jones, and there's really, if he doesn't have time to process. As a quarterback, you go high to low. You never go low to high. You go high to low, and if he doesn't have time, he's just going to get it out quick.
Yeah.
It'd be Henry, and then Njoku, I guess you're just betting on there's no number 2, and Jacoby Brissett's not very good. I'm fine with Everett, but I would lean Henry, Njoku, then Everett, then Brevin Jordan, absolute last of all of those guys. All right, Jeff, what's up, baby? Josh Allen stiff-armed him into the upside. He's talking about the defensive back.
That was nasty.
Yes, Josh Allen did stiff-arm him into the upside down. No doubt. All right, Jay, it was a good week. I know this week we were all over the place. I was out of town. I was back in town, but we're back now. So, Jay, anything you want to say to people before we get out of here?
No, man. Subscribe to the newsletter. Check out the prop videos, and they will give you some more insight simply beyond what we talk about on the show. But tried to give you as much as we could for the one show. We'll be back on Monday breaking down the Monday Night Football game and obviously talking about what happened over the weekend. But I think that's it, right? Subscribe to the podcast. Check out the newsletter. Subscribe here. Drop a like. That's pretty much it, right?
I might go live on Saturday night. I may go live on Saturday night just to do a quick instant reaction college football recap. If I do, I hope y'all tap in. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, like Jay said, subscribe to the newsletter. Tap into all the stuff that we have off the line, 4D, Injury, America's Game with Scott and Eric. We got a lot of stuff coming to you at Destination Devy. Good luck to you all this weekend. I hope your fantasy teams are victorious. We appreciate y'all rocking with us all the way up to this point. And now that we're here, we are going to have some fun. So make sure y'all wake y'all asses up. Hey, Jay,
man.
Hold
up. Do you got your topo?
I can go.
Before we forget again.
No, I don't have my topo, man.
Oh, man.
We're supposed to do a topo toast. We're supposed to do a topo toast.
Go get your topo, and I'll tell them about the college football play that I'm playing this week.
Okay. All right.
So, everybody, it's been a wild week in college football, and the biggest play that I'm looking at right now for people who are tapped in, are playing on Prize Picks, is Quentin Johnston. So, Quentin Johnston last week only had 3 receptions against Colorado, and this week he's playing an FCS school. I just don't know how Prize Picks possibly has him projected for 4.5 receptions. He's projected for like 66 receiving yards. Guys, like, this is the ultimate free square. I dropped this in the Discord a long time ago. He's only gone over in like 5 of 7 of his games, or 5 of 17 of his career starts at TCU. He's basically a lock for an under in this one. They're playing an FCS school. So for me, if you play on Prize Picks, first, go sign up, use promo code WAKEUP for your 100% deposit match up to $100, and take the under on Quentin Johnston this week. Make sure you go and watch Ray's video on Prize Picks about college football. There'll be lots of plays, lots of things to go over. It's a crazy slate, but not a lot of good games. I really wish I could bet on Quentin Johnston this week, but unfortunately, he is not going to be on the books. But if you can bet on Prize Picks, I'm pretty sure that line is still out there, and it is insane that they are still giving it to us because honestly, there is like almost no world he goes over. They're going to run the ball like crazy like they did last week, And to me, it's a smash under. So, Ray, I know you didn't even talk about it in your video, and I dropped it a long time ago, but Quentin Johnson, I don't know how the hell he gets to 4.5 receptions.
Yeah, I saw you said take the under. Yeah, take the under on Quentin Johnson. All right, y'all ready for a good 2022 NFL season? You got your topo? Put it to the mic so they can hear that toast. Crack it.
It's going to spill on me, bro. It's going to spill on me. Every time I open one of
these
things, man. Bro, every time.
Jay, what are you doing? What are you... For everybody out there, let's
every
get Jay
time
Rich off the screen because he doesn't know how to open bottles without making a mess. Cheers to the 2022 NFL season to you all. Go get you some Topo Chicos. We are going to crush it this season. I'm glad that you tapped in. We're going to get this thing popping in 2022. Love y'all. Appreciate it. We'll see y'all bright and early on Monday, baby. We out of this thing. Peace.